Are you sitting down? The U.S. national debt just crossed $37 trillion for the first time in history. The U.S. budget deficit is projected to hit 9% of GDP by 2034. These are wartime levels. These are crisis levels. And this is assuming no recessions. Deficits are the new normal, as cities like Chicago are budgeting a $211 million deficit from the jump. The head of global macro at a $7 trillion asset manager just said what we've been feeling but haven't been able to articulate visually with data. Nobody really wants to buy the dollar. People are preferring gold, the euro, and the yen over the dollar in the US bonds. Where have we heard this before?
I think in the intermediate term, nothing really stops this train. I think this is kind of locked in for quite a while. And it's not like calling for something major by next year or the year after. But I do think that we are now more structurally in this period where we can't necessarily assume that the foreign sector is going to be buying a lot of our treasuries. We can't assume that the private sector is always ready to step in with reasonable yields. And even to the extent that they do, basically anyone holding those is likely to get gradually devalued in terms of their purchasing power over the next 5, 10, 15 years.
The world is gradually, then suddenly, moving to a new standard, the Bitcoin standard. As Ledn says, nothing stops this train. This is Dante Cook with Bitcoin Simply. Let's go. Confidence in the US dollar is dropping faster than OKC players looking for fouls in the NBA Finals. And like refs, it's amazing that people still continue to buy this crap. But more and more people are waking up to the reality of a broken system. One system, the dollar system, has an unlimited supply of dollars that can be created. 30% of all dollars have been created in the last 5 years, and the decisions to create more of them are from unelected bureaucrats. Contrast this with Bitcoin. There's a 21 million fixed supply cap. There's only 5% more supply left to be mined or minted, and it's a decentralized system. What do you think's better? People know this and they're rushing to buy Bitcoin. And that's why Bitwise CIO Matt Hogan says that there's going to be 30x more demand for Bitcoin than there's going to be supply this year.
If you look at the supply-demand characteristics of Bitcoin right now, I hate to be really simple, but the amount of new Bitcoin being produced next year is 164,250. And we think ETFs will buy 500,000, corporations will buy 350,000, and governments will buy somewhere between 0 and 2 million Bitcoin. So far, on a year-to-date basis, through March 6th, this is what's happened. There's been 57,000 new Bitcoin produced. ETFs have bought all of it, and then corporations have bought another 3x. And I think governments have bought about 40,000 Bitcoin as well.
More and more people are buying and hodling and not selling, as Bitcoin has continued to be over 100K for 43 consecutive days. Here's a cool stat. In 16 years of Bitcoin's existence, there have only been 16 days with prices higher than today, meaning that if you randomly bought Bitcoin at any time during that history, well, you'd be up 99.4% of the time. And that's because there's more than just individuals buying Bitcoin now. There's companies like Semler Scientific, who just hired Joe Burnett, congrats Joe, to head up their Bitcoin strategy, saying that they're going to buy and have 10,000 Bitcoin by the end of 2025, 42,000 Bitcoin by the end of 2026, and 105,000 Bitcoin by the end of 2027. These corporate buyers are buyers, hodlers, and not sellers, as the buy to sell activity in buys versus sells has been over 99-1. And this isn't true for just corporations. Individuals have been waking up to Bitcoin and the reality that can have for them in their portfolios. $11 trillion asset manager BlackRock spills the tea on what they're seeing from buying from individuals who are just waking up to the reality of what Bitcoin could mean for them.
We enabled, through those boring old capital markets, we enabled people to have institutional quality, to have BlackRock quality Bitcoin exposure. And that became the first, the fastest exchange traded fund to hit 30 billion, 40 billion, 50 billion, 60 billion, and last week, $70 billion.
$72 billion.
$72 billion in assets. I was going to say, but who's counting? I guess he's counting more than we're counting. $72 billion in assets. Mm-hmm. And I think that proved how many people wanted these exposures, mm-hmm. but actually wanted them within their boring old whole portfolio of the capital markets. So that was that bridge strategy in terms of enabling that crossover between the two. And personally, I believe that's still just getting started. An interesting fact about IBIT that I think is quite remarkable is that of the 25 largest ETFs in the world, the youngest one, aside from IBIT, is 12 years old. IBIT is 18 months old. And I think that's a great demonstration to this ecosystem. I also think it's a great demonstration, to be candid, just everything in the world is happening faster.
Franklin Templeton's CEO just echoed a similar sentiment. Bitcoin is being incorporated into model portfolios, meaning for every dollar that flows into these retirement accounts or investment vehicles, well, they're automatically buying Bitcoin.
Right. So the big move in the industry has been toward model portfolios, which bring together equity exposure, fixed income exposure, and alternative exposure. And these crypto ETFs are being used as a form of alternative exposure in these model portfolios. So if I give my advisor $100 and it has a 6% allocation to Bitcoin ETFs in it, $6 of that $100 is going into Bitcoin ETFs every time I add money to that account, right? So these model portfolios have just begun to emerge from the leading financial players like ourselves. And this is what is allowing the wealth platforms to now start to really put that out in front of their advisors. And this is just beginning. And I firmly expect that over the next 18 months, you're going to see more and more and more of these platforms add these products. It's going to be automatic allocations every time new money comes in part going to these ETFs. And you're going to just see demand continue to ramp up pretty dramatically, I think, for at least the next 2 to 5 years.
And just like these two examples of people buying Bitcoin and not selling it, well, you have the opportunity to join that crew. But if you want liquidity from your Bitcoin, sort of like everyone's always done with HELOCs in real estate, you don't sell your house. You just unlock liquidity from that asset without selling the asset. And you can do that with Ledn, the leader in Bitcoin-backed loans since 2018. Get worthless fiat dollars in your account in less than 24 hours by posting Bitcoin collateral. It's pretty simple. Fast and transparent is the name of the game, which is why they have over 1,000 five-star customer reviews. They've never lost a single cent or sat of customer money, and loans start at just 12.4%. But for you, you can get 0.25% off your first loan by going to learn.ledn.ao/simply. People are also waking up to the reality that if they leave their money on exchanges like IBIT or Franklin Templeton or these other platforms, well, it's likely to get stolen or hacked. Case in point, 16 billion passwords from Google, Apple, and Facebook were just leaked. And according to River, only 50% of Bitcoin is held in self-custody, which means there are trillions of dollars worth of assets out there that people are leaving up to risk. Case in point, hackers just hacked the largest Iranian crypto exchange and simply destroyed $90 million worth of people's assets. If this doesn't want to make you schedule a meeting with the Bitcoin way, I don't know what will. Schedule a free 30-minute consultation with their team so this doesn't happen to you or your assets. Confidently, safely, and securely remove your Bitcoin from third-party exchanges and manage your own private keys. But get a coach and don't do it alone. Go to thebitcoinway.com/simplybitcoin to get started with a meeting. The world is experiencing a regime change. They're going from analog to digital, from physical space to cyberspace, from controlled media to decentralized media of the people. And this is why you see things like Twitter's CEO saying that they're not only going to have peer-to-peer messaging, but peer-to-peer payments and a store of value natively built into their platform.
Imminently, literally imminently, could happen during this talk, it's going to be unlimited video, right? In the US, we're about to launch X Money. You've seen the enhancements with X Chat for premium users, off the charts capability. So think about what we're doing. Instead of getting distracted by clickbait noise, you're thinking about more people coming to the platform to spend more time to do more things. Soon you're going to be able to live your whole financial life on the platform. Peer-to-peer payments, stored value, pay a creator, watch a pay-per-view. I mean, come on, we're talking about what's next, not what stuff you talk about. It's like a fantasy of the past. So I wouldn't be here spending jam-packed 5 days if we didn't have tremendous partners along with us.
For you newbies out there, this has actually been done in a decentralized way, and that's Nostr. But that's neither here nor there. The signal is still pretty big. The US has a debt problem, and even media companies are understanding that they have to remove themselves from the existing systems of operations. The system cannot function without more money being printed into the system. Manipulation is the new normal. Fiscal irresponsibility is the new standard, and they will continue to print and print and print until the fiat currency is worthless. This is all unless you move to a Bitcoin standard. Don't listen to Ricky Bobby's dad, who said if you're not first, you're last. There's still plenty of time to get on board, but you don't want to miss the train when it leaves the station. It's not too late, but we're getting closer and closer to the moment of inevitability when one Bitcoin will be the new American dream. But that's for another episode. The Simply team is looking forward to meeting you and reconnecting with you down in Dallas, Texas from November 11th through November 13th at the Mining Disrupt Conference. Get 20% of your tickets off. We're going to hook you up by using the promo code SimplyBitcoin. As always, thanks for locking in, and hopefully you learned something new. Subscribe to the channel if you already haven't. This is Dante Cook with Bitcoin Simply. Happy stacking.